Shalom, 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 Yashala. This your boy, Brother Samuel, or Shamuel. Back at you with another quick edifying video, right? Today's topic is going to be called As Swift as the Eagle Flieth, right? First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Halal, Yahawah, Bahasham, Hamashiach Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash, right? That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi, right? The Hamashiach, right? And the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa Qadash, right? Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, from Elder Apostle Tahar on down, who have ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified this sheep, and has pushed this gospel and this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days, right? So, like I said, today's topic is going to be called As Swift as the Eagle Flieth, right? And I came across this article. This was from August 11th, right? And it says, Golden Eagle takes helpless lamb for a wild ride and dinner is served, right? And it says nature is a scary place, right? But when you think about it, right, these are the scriptures playing themselves out, you know? Um, you know, it's it's what I just thought about it, I like I say, a lot of times I'll watch stuff and I'll see different things and it'll remind me of things in the scriptures, man, right? Because these things are faithful and true, but we know when you read, and we're gonna go over it, right? Um, the enemy, right, of the Israelites, right, which we know the top enemy. We can go over that too. Is Esau, right? Esau is the one of the top enemies of the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? And guess what? He uses the mascot, or he uses the eagle, as his forefront, right? He puts it on his flag. He puts it on, they put it on money. They put it on all types of things, right? You'll see that eagle, right? But we also see that, Israel, are like sheep, right? Or lambs, right? Yahawashi is the lamb of the Most High, So, we can get all those things, right? But I just wanted to, show this right here. Like I say, I came across this article and it got me to kind of thinking, um, just the irony of it, right? And it just says, Golden Eagle takes helpless lamb for a wild ride, dinner is served, right? So just like in the wild, um, it's the same thing, you know, in these scriptures, either just on a spiritual level, right? So I'm not gonna go through the article or whatever, but basically, the eagle snatches this little baby lamb, right, and takes it away as its prey, right? So let's get into some scriptures, right? Lord's will. This is edifying for you, right? And we'll go from there, right? Hold on one second. Just want to get something real quick. All right. So, like I said, the title is called "As Swift as the Eagle Flieth." So let's just kind of set some precedents, right? So we're going to start off at Deuteronomy, right? And the curses, right? Deuteronomy 28. And matter of fact, you know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna start off with the lamb or the sheep, right? So, and I'm just gonna get a couple precepts. Let's see if I can remember. This is it Jeremiah 15:6? Let's take a look. Call Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 6, right? It says, my people, right? And we know the people, the Most High's people, right? Here we go. We just started verse 4. It says, in those days, in that time, saith Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, the children of Israel shall come, and the children of Judah together, going and weeping they shall go and seek Yahawah their power, right? So this is talking about the children of Israel, right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? But it says, my people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from the mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place, right? So the children of Israel are likened to sheep, right? You can think of sheep or lamb, right? What's a baby sheep, right? It's like a lamb, right? Let's get another one, right? Yahawashi is likened unto a lamb, right? So this is let's go to the book of John 1 and 29, right? And you see the title. When you go to it, it says, Behold the Lamb of the Most High. So it says the next day, John, right? John the Baptist, seeth Yahawashi coming unto him, and saith, Behold, the Lamb of the Most High, which taketh away the sins of the world, right? And we know the world is Israel, it's the world of Israel, right? And let's just get that so people don't get simple. Let's go to Isaiah 45:17. It says, But Israel shall be saved in Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. How? Through the Lamb of the Most High. Who's the Lamb? Yahawashi, right? With an everlasting salvation, ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. Right? It's the world of Israel that will be saved. Right? It's the world without end. Okay? So let's go back to that. John, right? John 1 and 29. And it reads, it says, The next day John seeth Yahawashi coming unto him, and saith, Behold, the Lamb of the Most High, which taketh away the sin of the world. Right? So Yahawashi came to take away the sins of his people. Right? Let's get that. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 1 and verse number 21. It says, this is Matthew 1 verse 21. It says, And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahawashi, right? That is his name. It's not Jesus. Yahawashi, for he shall save his people from their sins. Right? And read it again. Matthew chapter 1 verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahawashi, for he shall save his people from their sins. Right? Let me go back to John 1 and 29, just so you guys can see what's going on, right? So it says, John 1 and 29, it says, The next day John seeth Yahawashi coming unto him, and saith, Behold, the Lamb of the Most High, which taketh away the sin of the world, right? The sins of Israel, right? He's coming to save his people, right, from their sins. And that's what Yahawashi did. And he's known as the Lamb, right? Because when you go into, in the law, right, that you sacrifice, an animal, like if it's a lamb, a sheep, a bull, right? And you shed the blood, right, for a sacrifice, for an atonement of sins. And Yahawashi was that lamb, right? So like I said, I saw that article with that eagle trying to swoop up the lamb, right? And that kind of reminded me of, just how, when Yahawashi was born, and Herod, was trying to seek out the child's life, right? When you read it, right? Trying to seek out Yahawashi's life. And guess what? Then his family had to flee, They had to flee into Egypt until Herod was dead, right? Because he was trying to kill all all like the children or sons, right, under I believe maybe Salaki if I'm misquoting, but it's like 3 years old, right? 3 years old and younger, right? So just as an eagle prayeth, it's the same way, right? And you saw how Herod was trying to, like an eagle, trying to stalk out the lamb, you know? Okay, so now we got that on the lamb, right? Now let's get on the eagle, right? Let's get to the eagle. So let's go to, and it's a lot. I hope, you guys are following me. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28. And let's get to the point. Let's go to verse number 49, right? And it says, and the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar. Actually, Slakia. I'm gonna start at verse number 47, right? Let's get to the point. Or, why. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 47. It says, because thou servest not Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. Right? It says thou shalt serve thine enemies. All right, so let's find out who our enemies are real quick, right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? You are likened unto sheep or lamb, right? So who is your enemy according to the scriptures, right? Let's go to the book of Psalm, chapter 83, and we'll go to verse number, I'll start at verse 3. So no, I'll start at verse 2, Salakia. This is Psalm chapter 83, verse 2. It says, for lo, thine enemy make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, or Yasa'Allah, right? You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Your true identity is an Israelite, right? Or Yasa'Allah. It says, may be no more in remembrance, right? That's why you run around here calling yourselves, that's why we say so-called, because that's not what you are. You call yourself African-American, Jamaican, West Indian, you call yourself Haitian, Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Guatemalan, Panamanian, or whatever, right? All these different names, right? But you are an Israelite, right? And it says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasa'Allah, or Israel, may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, right? So they're set up against thee. They have come together, right? The enemies, right, of Yasa'Allah, and of the Most High, have come together to create a crafty council, right? They have consulted together with one consent, like we're going to come after these folks, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? So it says the tabernacles of Edom. That's the first enemy that is named in the scriptures, right? It says the Ishmaelites of Moab, the Hagarenes, Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, right? The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assyria also is joined with them, and they have helped the children of Lot, right? So when you read, verse 6, it says the tabernacles of Edom, right? So just like the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American people, you're not black, Hispanic, you're actually an Israelite, right? The tabernacles of Edom, right? Which call themselves, they liken themselves to the so-called white man, right? Or white people, right? And then it says the Ishmaelites, right? Which are the Arabs, right? You have Moab, right? Which is the Chinese, the Hagarenes, which are Africans, Gabal, which I believe are more Africans, Ammon, which are the Japanese, Amalek, right? Which are, basically Edomites, but the small hats, right? It says the Philistines, right? More Africans with the inhabitants of Tyre, I believe more Africans, right? So these are the enemies, right? According to the scriptures, right? And if you go to Nehemiah, it'll tell you, the other nations, right? The heathens, are the enemies, right, of Israel, right? Because everybody is pretty much jealous of, our relationship with the one true living power, right? Yahawah, right? And his son, Yahawashi, right? And they're mad because guess what? Yahawashi is coming back to save his people from their sins, right? The Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? So these are the enemies, right? And you see the number one enemy, or the first person that's named as part of the enemy is Esau, right? So now let's go back to Deuteronomy. I just wanted to set that precedence. Salakia, if I took too long on that. So let's get back to the scriptures, right? It says, therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahawah Bahasham shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in a want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, right? So when you think about it, right, you have to go to, one of your enemies for the want of all things, right? For food, for water, for clothing, right? For even to go get these scriptures, right? If you wanted to get a Bible, you had to go to your enemy, right? And it says, for the one of all things, right? It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, right? And we know, through, slavery, right? That yokes of iron were put, upon our neck, right? But who did it, right? It was our enemies, right? And one specific one who was, in charge of all that, right? Or the Edomites, right? And even that, you could say it was the small hats, right? So let's keep reading. It says, because now we're going to get in more specific. It says, and Yahawah shall bring a nation against thee from afar, right? So one of these enemies, one of these nations that Yahawah, now we understand that Yahawah brought these folks upon us, right? When we went off, right? He raised up other nations, right? Who took us into captivity, right? And it was a constant repeat, right? So we are yet this day in our captivity, right? So it says, and Yahawah shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth. Now here we go. As swift as the eagle flieth, right? So this nation that Yahawah Shai is going to send against us is going to be as swift as the eagle flieth. Well, who uses the eagle as their mascot, right? You can put it together, man, right? It says, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, right? Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young, right? So this enemy is just not going to show no mercy, right? And who does that, right? Who does that here on this, where we're at even to this day, right? Even to this day, they do that, right? But they use the eagle as their mascot. So when I saw that article about the eagle swooping down and grabbing the lamb, I put that correlation, together, of Jacob and Esau, right? Esau being the eagle and Jacob being the lamb, right? And they're always trying to constantly consume and devour us, through the spirit, right? Yahawah Shema Shai, right? So this is let's go to Obadiah, right? And I was watching a video, and it was somebody was talking about it. It's like, yeah, in you go to these Christian churches, hey, you ask, your grandmother or whoever else about the book of Obadiah, and they ain't never heard it, right? Because they don't bring Obadiah out, right? But let's get this, right? This is Obadiah. I'll start at verse 1. It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahawah Shema Shai, thy power concerning Edom, right? Edom, who is, the forefather, or Esau is the forefather of Edom, or the Edomites, right? Or the so-called white people, right? It says, we have heard a rumor from Yahawashi, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. I must jump down to verse 3. It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, Esau, right? Or Edom, that thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, right? And when you think about, where does an eagle rest his home? An eagle sets his house up on the clefts of a mountain, right? They build their nests high up, right? So then they can look down, they can see the prey, and then they stalk the prey from the air, come down, swoop, right? And surprise them, right? It says, the pride of thy heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? It says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. Who is this? This is Edom, right? Esau, or the Edomites, right? It says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, right? So even though, right, you and you see, right, what do the Edomites do? They build tall, skyscrapers, right? So they can look down, right, like an eagle does, right? They mimic, their counterpart, which is the eagle, right? That's what their mascot is. That's how they portray themselves, right? They live up in the top, right? They want to be all the way in the top, and that's how they do, right? So it says, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, right? They even got their little space station, even higher up, in the heavens, right? And it says, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, right? So they use, their mascot. So like I say, when I saw that video, or the article, you see with the eagle grabbing the lamb, that's what came to my mind. Okay. So Lord's will, y'all following me? Let's jump to verse 10. It says, because why? Because that's what they do. Like an eagle, they stalk their prey. It says, for this is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 10. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, right? Because when you read the scriptures, right, Genesis 25, right, it talks about, how Isaac and Rebekah had twins, and their name was Jacob and Esau, right? And it was two nations that were in the womb, right? So, and they've been basically enemies, from the womb. They were fighting in the womb, right? It says, for the violence against thy brother, right? Because they were twin brothers, right? Jacob, shame shall because Salakia, for the violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever, right? That's the Salakia. That is the prophecy, right? That's going to happen to Esau, right? He's going to be cut off forever. Okay, he's the only nation who will not get repentance, right? Cannot repent, right? But because they're always, like an eagle, how an eagle stalks his prey, right? That's how Esau does Jacob, right? And Jacob, right, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Jacob's name was changed to Esau, or Salakia. It was changed to Israel, right, or Yasa'Allah, right? But they constantly are stalking and preying on our people, right? And we can get that too through the scriptures, right? And you can just turn on the news and you'll see it. It's right there and it's right in your face every day, right? So this is Ezekiel chapter 35, and I'm gonna go to verse number 5. It says, Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, right? The perpetual is an ongoing, everlasting hatred, right? And has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end, right? And who is this? This is Edom, right? Mount Seir, right? Which are also the Edomites, right? Right, living in the mountains, man. Right, so that's another name, right? Or another correlation when it talks about like Mount Seir. You're talking about Esau, or Edom, right? It says, "Therefore, as I live, saith Yahawah thy power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee." It says, "Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it that passeth out, and him that returneth." Right? So the Most High is going to make Esau's, his dwelling place and him, basically obsolete, man. Right? Because we know that, he has taken over America, right? He took that from the Northern Kingdom, right? Our Northern Kingdom brothers, right? Who were already over here, who came over here, right? Esau came, took over this land, and made it his, by blood, right? His blessing was the sword, you know, by the, he lived by the sword and he died by the sword, right? But that the blessing is his sword, and that's what he used to take over, the lands that he's conquered, right? But the Most High is gonna make, this place America, right, which is spiritual Babylon, right, or spiritual Sodom and Egypt, right? When you read in these scriptures, right, it's gonna be taken out, right, and it's gonna be hit by ICBM missiles, right, nuclear missiles, right? And the chariots and Yahawashi, would they come with their lasers, right, and their weapons, their weapons of mass destruction. They're going to make sure that Babylon, right, or America is fully destroyed, right, and is uninhabitable, right? It's going to be a place of wild beasts, That's what's going to be left here. And we know, like as an eagle, right? They're constantly trying to pursue us. They're constantly trying to to kill us. And we see it all the time, right? And let's get this, because right now, he knows that he has but a short time, right? This is Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them." Woe to why we rejoicing, right? Because we know that Yahawashi, right, has come, and he's coming, right? He has already come, and he's coming back his second time. And the second time he's coming back for revenge and for redemption, to redeem, Yashala, right? Or the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? But this time he's coming for the elect, those who are chosen of Israel, he is coming back to save those, right? And to put everything back in its right place, which is ultimately, the rulership of the Israelites, right? With our overseer Yahawashi, right? So Yahawah is going to be on earth as it is in heaven. That order is going to be set up. Okay. So it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time." Right? So this eagle they're getting hungrier and hungrier, right? And they're continuing to try to stalk on the prey, right? Which is the Israelites, right? Which are the lambs and the sheep. Okay? And they're constantly trying, it's a constant battle. It's just an ongoing, like I said, perpetual. They have a perpetual hatred against us, right? And let's get that, right? So like as the eagle does, so does Esau, right? He mimics the prey, he mimics the prey of of an eagle, right? He mimics that. What I want. Let's go to Lamentations, right? Chapter 4 and verse number 18. And it reads, it says, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come, right? That's how we feel, because that's how Esau comes down upon us like an eagle, swooping, surprise attacking us, trying to always constantly trying to, destroy us and devour us, right? It says our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness, right? They were constantly chasing us, constantly trying to overtake us, overpower us, and devour us to wipe us off the face of the earth, like in Psalms 83, right? So that they have no remembrance of Israel, right? We have no remembrance of who we are, right? And that's all part of it because when you read, in Genesis, Esau wanted the blessing, but he sold his blessing to Jacob. He sold his blessing to his brother Jacob, right? And he was mad about that. And so then when Isaac blessed Jacob, he was mad, and he sought in his heart to try to basically to kill his brother Jacob, right? But when you read it, he never did. But that spirit, through his descendants has resonated and is manifesting, and is now is, right? That like they're like an eagle, right? It says our persecutors, right? Who's getting persecuted? The Israelites, right? Who is the persecutor? Right? It's Esau, right? It says our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They have pursued us upon the mountains, and they have laid wait for us in the wilderness, right? They came and got us, off of our high mountains, right? You had 70 AD when, when the time of the Gentiles, right? When they compassed around us, right? And we had to flee out of Jerusalem, right? Into the mountains, right? And then to the wilderness, right? Where did they get us? They got us, off the west coast of Africa, brought us over to the Americas, right? And just even to this day, right? They continue to pursue us. When you just think about how, what's going on with reunification right now, right? They pushed us out, when they were here, they pushed us out into the suburbs, right? And then from the suburbs, then they pushed us out of the suburb. They wanted the suburbs, and then they pushed us back in the city, right? And now they want the city back again, So now they're trying to push us out the city, right? It's just like a constant back and forth, right? It's like a little kid who sees another little kid being content of what he had. Like he has a box, and the kid has like some shiny new toy, but he sees the kid with the box, and the kid with the box is having so much fun that he wants it. I mean, I'm gonna get it, right? And he just continues to try to take everything and try to leave nothing, right? But that's how he is. He's like that eagle. He's like as swift as an eagle flieth, right? I think that's it on that one, right? So that's all. We understand. So like I say, when I saw this, it kind of resonated with me. I was like, oh man, the first thing that came to mind when I saw the little lamb. You see the lamb look all helpless and everything, mild mannered, probably didn't even say nothing when the eagle went and swooped him up, and you watch the video, and the eagle takes him up into the high mountains and devours him. And that's how Esau wants to do it, right? And that's why we have to have the faith in Yahawashi, right, to deliver us, right, from the hands of the eagle, of our enemy, our top notch, enemy in these scriptures, right, in this reality that we live in. Okay. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 10. Salakia. This is Sirach chapter 12, right? Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse number 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. you can't put your trust in them. It may seem like everything is all good and everything is, but guess what? It's not, right? It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, right? When something rusts, you can try to paint over it, right? You can try to fix it and do it, right? But that rust is still going to be there. And then the longer it goes, it'll continue to, the rust will start to shine again. It'll start to come out, right? It says, never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, that thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. Right? So they can try to portray, that they're, loving and compassionate and this, that, and the other, right? But eventually their true self will shine, right? That true wickedness will shine out of them, right? And that's why you can't, the scriptures tell you not to trust your enemy, right? Because as it gradually goes, right, you start to see clear, that nope, there's always a evil motive behind this, right? It says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place, right? And that's what they've done many a times, right? They've taken over lands and taken over different places, and then they stand up in the place like they were the people, we're the real Romans, we're the real Jews, we're here now, right? We're here in this land now, right? It says, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou, right, at the last remember my words and be pricked wherewith, right? So these are definitely words to remember, especially when you're a lamb and you're being pursued, by an eagle, or that your enemy is like an eagle, right? You can never trust it. You can never trust that, right? Because if you think, well, and that's what a lot of our people do. They be like, they're not so bad, right? And then they do something to spark that animosity towards each other, right? But it says, remember these words. Otherwise, when it happens to you, you're gonna be pricked. You're gonna be like, damn, I remember that. Never trust your enemy, right? Even though they're smooth talk, right? Like they did Gad to take their land, right? And then gave them smallpox, blankets with smallpox on them, and all other types of things, right? Or, they try to win you over with gifts, they try to win you over with gifts, so, so they can get close to you, right? So they can continue to, rule and take over you, right? So, yeah, so like I say, when I saw the video of the eagle, the eagle flying, and you see it, with the lamb, it immediately, like I say, the scriptures kind of came to mind. So, Lord's will, this was edifying, right? I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Call Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. A mighty shalom to the hopeful elect, man. Stay strong, stay faithful. Keep praying for one another, man, right? Never trust your enemy, right? Watch out for the eagles, right? As you are lambs, but the scriptures tell you to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove, right? And we put our faith and our trust in Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, right? That, when he returns, he will save us from our enemies, right? From the eagle that seeketh to swoop down and destroy us and devour us, okay? We got to put our trust and our faith in Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, right? Because we know that in the latter days, it said he's going to be like a wild man, sparing none, right? So we got to keep our focus and our faith on our power, which is Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, right? So with that, I want to say, Shalom.